So the funny thing about the Proclaimers is that those guys really, really try to look like brothers. You know what I'm saying? I mean, Bryce and I look pretty different, I think. I mean, we look the same if we had the same. If we tried to look the same, we could probably look the same. But those guys really, really try to look the
Howdy, howdy, howdy. Welcome to a Thursday Collection Connection, where we're playing that game that's just an excuse to talk about records. It's a game I play with my brother, Plastic Eric, over on the Plastic Soundwave Cults channel. And every Monday he shows an album, every Thursday I show an album. And the connecting glue is that the album that we talk about has to relate in some way to the album previously shown. So with that out of the way, let's move ahead. In Eric's last video, he talked about Jet, Get Born. Now I'm moving a little bit ahead of schedule so that I can take a couple of weeks off. I haven't seen his video yet, so I don't know exactly what he's going to say, but I do know that that was his choice. And it was funny listening to it. I remember Are You Gonna Be My Girl from the iPod commercial, kind of iconic series of iPod ads. But I never followed up on them listening to that song. It seemed very Lust for Life, but then looking up information about the band, apparently I'm not the only, it's so obviously Lust for Life sounding like that other people made the same observation. So it's certainly not an insight on my part, although to the band's own answer to that is that they were more aping Motown styles like You Can't Hurry Love than they were Iggy Pop. And that Iggy Pop himself said that that's what they were doing with Lust for Life, and maybe that's why they sound so similar. Still, with that, I like Lust for Life, so there's nothing wrong with the song. I'm not sure exactly why I resisted it. I don't have the album. I never became familiar with it. Maybe the artwork felt like it was going to be kind of more rock and roll. There's something about the cover image that feels like a tattoo a little bit. And it was close enough to the dawn of the Strokes era, which was another train that I was really, really reluctant to board, that I don't know, it never grabbed me. But reading about them now, it seemed like they were like right up my alley. They're an Australian band, and I grew to like that, Strokes style, the sort of reskinning of rock and roll. It's not so much grunge where it was so heavy, but stripped back, almost going back to the earliest rock and roll. Your Elvis Presley and Little Richard type rock and roll. Just a very stripped down sound, and yet with sort of the rock heaviness of the current time, which is now 20 years ago. But yeah, and I only listened to the one time, and I'm already forgetting the names of the songs. The song that was like at track 4 was apparently a single. I think it was at track 4. Maybe something about time. I'm forgetting everything here in the moment as I'm trying to move quickly. But that struck my ears. A pretty good tune, and overall, pretty good stuff, I have to say. So who knows if I'll follow up on that anymore or not. As much as I came to appreciate the Strokes, they've still never been my favorite band, and I've been very spotty in collecting the Strokes. And that kind of, I think of it as very stripped down New York rock and roll, but of course, Jet is Australian. Anyway, for Connection, I decided to stick with that iPod theme because that was such an iconic series of commercials through the first decade of the 2000s. And although I never bought the Jet, I did procure several songs that I was introduced to through those iPod ads, such as the Ting Tings. They had Shut Up and Let Me Go. Although I think it was probably That's Not My Name that convinced me to buy it. And that was sort of the B argument, the Shut Up and Let Me Go. The Asteroids Galaxy Tour has Around the Bend, which is a good track. And several others. They used some Gorillaz, Feel Good Inc., and some Daft Punk. But it was more the bands that felt like they were sort of discovering them. And such was the case with the 2007, I think, iPod commercial featuring the song Flathead by the Fratellis. And so my connection album is Costello Music, the debut album from the Fratellis in 2007. Now, the ad may have actually been 2006. I'm not sure. They released a couple of singles and EP type singles before the first album came out that included some of these tracks, and I think Flathead was one of them. So it may technically date to 2006. But yeah, the Fratellis are interesting. For a thing that I bought because of an iPod commercial, it was something that really won over basically everybody in the family and became a big hit. My music library stats, if I can show them here. Basically, any album where every single track gets into the double digits in playback is an album that was well received with me and probably with my family. But you can see a lot of the tracks are some of my most listened to tracks where they have over 100 plays over the years. And one, I think, at least one, as I'm not looking at it right now, is over 200. Yeah, it was a big hit album, a lot of different songs from it, made it onto a lot of different playlists that I would make for myself, and burned to CD, which I did pretty extensively through the 2000s. Almost to this day, although it's less of a thing today because nobody has a CD player to listen to it on, sadly, it feels like. But yeah, the Fratellis also had sort of that stripped down sound. They're a Scottish band, and this album went to #1 in Scotland. They are one of those bands who seemed like their strongest impression was made right out of the gate here with their first album. Their second album, called Here We Stand, also charted most places, but after that, it gets very spotty, and they've released another 4 albums, I believe, since then. I didn't get the second album. I have their third and fourth albums, We Need Medicine and Eyes Wide, Tongue Tied. And there's good stuff on both of them, but neither of them capture the magic, the alchemy, whatever it was, because they're still very similar in style. So I don't know if it's just something about how it was recorded, engineered, maybe a lack of budget. I don't know what it is, but there's something just exuberant about the songs on Costello Music that keeps it my favorite, even though I've liked some of the stuff that they have followed up with since. So as to whether or not Eric will like it, I don't know, but between Flathead and I think For the Girl is maybe the track that I had over 200 plays on. They're just super catchy. There's not a song on here that's over 4 minutes, which I noted from the other albums that I have is not the case. Each album has longer songs than this, so this is just one of those blast from your speakers kind of records. There's not a ballad on here. Everything just kind of rips your throat out and is a lot of fun to listen to. And so things get a lot more varied on their later albums. Songs get longer, and even though there's some really good stuff on there, I think you'd have a hard time going wrong with Costello Music if that sort of 2000s stripped down rock sound is something that appeals to you. Very catchy songs, so kind of maybe in the Ramones camp, or not even the Cheap Trick camp. They're not as catchy as they are. They're not quite as poppy, I don't feel, as Cheap Trick. And so they're very much in the rock idiom, but the choruses are just catchy as hell. So with that, I will throw 2007's Costello Music, the debut album from the Scottish band the Fratellis, who took their name from the bad guys in the Goonies. I think I was aware of that, but that was confirmed in doing my research here, my quick fire research for this video. But yeah, they are named after the bad guys in the Goonies. So possible connector there, I don't know. But yeah, I'll throw that over to Eric. He will find something in his collection that he can connect to, and you can look forward to that on Monday on the Plastic Sound Wave Cult. So with that, that's all I have. Thank you for watching, and bye-bye.